If you don't have friends or family that work for a railroad, chances are the only time you think about a railroad is when you're blocked by one while you're driving. In the summer of 2013, I hired on with BNSF, and I've been a conductor there for the last 9 years. And in this speech, I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a conductor, some of the changes that I've seen since being out there, and the ultimate goal for all Class 1 railroads, which is to get to a one-man crew. And I'll talk about how that's not safe to the employees or to the public. First, a little bit about my job is I'm on call 24/7. So I never know exactly when I'm going to go to work until my phone rings, and then I have 2 hours to get ready and then get to work. And then I can physically move a train for 12 hours. Doesn't mean that I'll be getting off of work in 12 hours. So the longest I've ever sat on a train has been 17 hours. And then when you get to the other end of the road, you're in a hotel for 12 hours minimum. Right now, it's usually right around 20 hours you're in a hotel before you're able to get back on a train, come back to Lincoln, which would be another 12-hour day. In the 9 years that I've been out there, there's been some sort of change every single year, whether it's small or major. This year, we had a major change, and it was with our attendance policy. So how our attendance policy worked before was we had a week of sick days every single month. So you could use 5 weekdays and then 2 weekend days. And as long as you didn't go outside of that, you would never get in trouble. Now it's all based off of a point system. So you have 30 points for the rest of your career. And every time you call in sick, then you lose that many points on that day. And then the only way to regain any kind of points that you lost is by working 14 days straight, and then you get 4 points back, which doesn't get you the amount of points that you lost when you laid off sick the first time. So you're always just playing catch up. With this attendance policy, according to this Montana Free Press, there have been over 700 BNSF employees that have quit since February 1st. And that's kind of unheard of for Class 1 railroads, just because it was such a good job 10 or 15 years ago. But now it's more or less like a corporate greed. So BNSF is always trying to push and push and push to get more profits. So for example, like when I went through the conductor training process, there was, I think, 600 applicants that had applied for the class that I applied for. And out of those 600 applicants, they only took 30 people. And that's changed drastically because the last 3 conductor training classes that Lincoln's had, they've had 15 people, 2 people, and now they have 1 person in this upcoming class. And BNSF's even offering hiring bonuses to try and get people to come out here to work. But people, they just don't want to live this kind of lifestyle, and I don't blame them. And that's why over 700 people have quit, because they're just tired of it as well. So what BNSF is going to do is they're going to take this information to the government and ask them to get permission to start running one-man crews. And I kind of just want to bring it up to the public as to why this is not true. They do have the manpower. They just keep forcing us to work more. So they are forcing some of their workforce to leave. If they were to cut back on that to how it used to be, I bet that would change, and you'd have more guys wanting to come out here to work and make a career out of this again. I do have a demonstration on a train accident that had happened in Pacific Junction, Iowa, about a year ago or so. And what had happened was crew was going down the track, nodding off and falling asleep. It was the middle of the night, and they ended up just running into the back of another train that was parked. And luckily, they both made it out alive. But this happened with 2 people on board. The likelihood of this happening more with 1 person on board, I would imagine, would probably increase, just because you don't have that other person to keep you alert and awake while you're at work. Because like I had said earlier, we're on call 24/7. So our biggest danger to ourselves is fatigue. Just because that you just never know when you're going to go to work. And people have families, you have a life outside of the railroad. And so sometimes you just got to get things done. And unfortunately, you get caught short on sleep sometimes. So you just tell the person you're working with that night that, hey, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, so I'm going to need some help staying awake tonight. And so you just make small talk as you're going on the tracks. Um, and I mean, that's just one example. You also have health issues, whether somebody has a heart attack or, I mean, there's been guys out there that have had seizures. So, I mean, it does happen. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And that's kind of why it's a danger to the public, is because, if you have a 20,000 ton coal train rolling down the track, you have one guy up there and he happens to have a heart attack, and there's nobody there to stop the train. So it's just going to keep on cruising, and it's either going to start hitting, vehicles because you're not going to be whistling the crossings, or you run back, run into the back of a train again. So BNSF, they'll preach safety, safety, safety to you until it's an inconvenience to them. And then as soon as you make a mistake and mess up, then they'll throw the rule book at you and be like, well, why weren't you safe? So it's kind of a double standard for them. They use it when it works for them, and then they throw it out the window when it's when it's an inconvenience to them. So that's kind of why I would just wanted to bring up that BNSF doesn't have a manpower issue. And so if you ever hear about it, from the public or whatever, and that's what they're trying to push, it's not true. And that's kind of my speech about, what it's like to work as a conductor, the changes that I've seen, and their ultimate end goal.